Hey guys, it's Shelby, otherwise known as Shelbizleee here on YouTube, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about some things that I've talked myself out of buying. I have a lot of things to say today, a lot of things to share, but before we get started, I want you guys to know why I make these videos. Why do I make videos talking about things that I talked myself out of buying? If you have never seen another one of these videos on my channel, I have plenty of them. If you want to learn more ways and methods kind of to talk yourself out of buying things, you can go check out some of my other episodes in this series. But the reason I make these videos is because as an eco-minimalist, a term I kind of coined myself, you should purchase less things because it creates less of a demand for resources to be used. Does that make sense? So, for instance, the shirt I'm wearing, it's always the easiest thing to go to. This shirt is made of cotton. If I were to buy this shirt new, which I don't, most of my wardrobe at this point is secondhand, about 90% of it is secondhand. But when the shirt was originally created, it started as a plant, right? Cotton is a plant. So you have to plant that seed, and then you have to use a ton of water, by the way, to water cotton. It takes a lot of water. There's a lot of other inputs as well, such as nutrients that cotton is going to take out of the soil, the pesticides and herbicides and insecticides that are used on the cotton to keep things off of it that then runs into our waterways, which is not great for the planet. And then you have to pick the cotton, which is done with fossil fuels these days, so greenhouse gases there. Then you have to ship the cotton, then you have to manufacture the cotton, and that takes more greenhouse gases. Then you have to ship it again, transport it, blah, 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 blah. And the way fashion specifically is used these days, it typically ends up as waste. And there are a ton of things in this world that have very similar structures to that. There are just tons of resources that go into creating something. So I really want to encourage people to shop a lot less, to purchase a lot less things, because I truly believe that second to consuming meat, red meat specifically, second to that, the single most impactful thing you can do as a consumer is to shop less. So that's why I make these videos, in case you didn't understand. That is the point of my channel, my activism. It's a thing that like drives me every single day, so I wanted to clear that up for you before we get started. Because this video is being posted at the very beginning of June, I also want you guys to know that for the month of June, I'm going to be doing something called a no buy, which means I spend no money during the month of June on anything that is not an absolute essential, which means like food, electricity, my mortgage. I can't just let my mortgage go. I am going to do a no spend challenge for the month of June, and I would really love if you guys join me. I'll keep you updated on my Instagram, so make sure you're following me there, and then I'll do an update video at the end of the series, at the end of the month, of all the things I talked myself out of buying, which is going to be a lot more than usual, because I won't be allowed to buy anything at all. And what's really cool is one of my sponsors on this channel, known as Buns, they are partnering with me for this series. So they're going to sponsor this series of a no buy. And it's really, really fascinating because it's an app where you can trade things and get things that you need or want without purchasing anything. No money has to be spent. It's literally just trading. So I do plan to utilize Buns throughout the month whenever I may want or need something, but I can't buy it. I can trade for something I already have that I don't want. So we'll talk more about Buns maybe a little bit later in the video, but I definitely want to give them a huge shout out for sponsoring this series, because it's really hard to find sponsors when you become an ethical and sustainable brand or influencer, whatever you want to call it, YouTuber I should say. And the fact that an app will sponsor me to talk about not buying things is so freaking cool. So make sure you check them out. I'll talk more about them later, like I said, but let's go ahead and get into the things that I talked myself out of buying. Okay, so I keep a list on my phone of all the things I've talked myself out of buying, and I told you in my last episode of what I talked myself out of buying. I would love it if you kept a list in your phone and things that you talked yourself out of throughout the month, and then you could comment it in the comments. So right now, if you've been doing that, make sure you leave it in the comments. But first thing on my list, you're not gonna believe me. If you follow me on Instagram, you're not gonna believe this, but I have been talking myself out of buying plants. I have a legitimate obsession with houseplants. In my last apartment, if you've been following me since then, we only had like maybe 4 houseplants. That's because when we first moved in, I bought like 2 or 3 or 4 all at once, like pretty quickly, and Madison told me like straight up, she's like, I don't want this apartment to be a jungle. Don't go out and buy like a ton of plants. I don't want to live in a jungle. So being the gracious partner that I was, I pulled back on my plant buying, and we also didn't have that great of a lighting situation back then. I also didn't have that great of an understanding of what is good lighting for a plant and what's not. Like I just, you know, I didn't really know. But when we moved into this house, I specifically wanted to buy this house because of how much natural light it has, how many windows it has, not just for houseplants, but because I like how natural light looks better than like indoor lighting. I just think it's ugly. I hate turning on lights in my house. I don't know. So when we moved in here, I just started buying houseplants, and that's why I say if you follow me on Instagram, you already know this because I've been posting about it on my stories nonstop. I'm also posting about it on my feed, some of my favorite plants and all that good stuff. But I have talked myself out of buying quite a few of them because we are at 50 houseplants now. I now own 50 houseplants in my house, not including the plants outside of my house. And so I've started talking myself out of buying them just because to love something is fine, to enjoy something is fine, to have a hobby is one thing, but to then let it turn into like an obsession and overhauling is not such a great thing. So, you know, part of minimalism is buy things that bring you joy, that make you happy, legitimately, things that are not just like one-time use clothing items or what's trendy, but plants I feel like are much more enriching things to own, but there's obviously like a point where it's too much, and I feel like I've reached that. So I've talked myself out of buying any more at the moment. I feel like there's always a moment in these videos where I talk about things that I've talked myself out of buying because of Instagram ads. And before it was because of targeted ads before I added a VPN onto my phone. But now it's also just things that like influencers and my friends even that I follow that are also influencers, Instagrammers and things like that. Things that they promote that I want. So 2 things this month that I've talked myself out of buying that was promoted to me by one of them is something called an Ecosia. I don't know if I said that right, but I'll put it on the screen. Face mask. It comes in an aluminum tube, so it looks really, really cool. But you guys have probably heard me say this before, I have so much skincare to work through. I don't need any more. Especially from a brand that I don't know about, that I haven't previously been interested in. I talked last time about being really interested in Mad Hippie cosmetics, and I still really am, and I'm really hoping that like I can get my hands on some. But that's something I've been pining after for a while. I probably shouldn't buy something that I have not had a deep interest in. I haven't heard great things about this brand just because someone else talked about it. It's kind of how I talked myself out of buying that one, even though it was an aluminum tube, and that's really, really cool. And then the second thing is a seed probiotic. So, gonna put this on the screen for you as well, right here. Seed, I believe they make a bunch of different multivitamins, they make a bunch of different stuff, but their packaging on these probiotics is so cute. And I'm not normally one to get sucked in by packaging, but it is frosted green glass. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my God, I could reuse that for so many things. I need more probiotics in my life because I have a ton of digestive issues. And I immediately like went to the site to buy it. But then I was like, okay, slow down. You're impulse buying based off of an Instagram ad. It's like, I really had to pull myself back and think about it. I try to do this thing where I put something on a list of things I want, and then after an extended period of time, if it's something I still want, then I can buy it. So those Seeds probiotics are on my list of things I want, but maybe eventually after the hype dies down from it, I won't want them anymore. So for now, I've talked myself out of buying it, and I hope that that can be a lesson to you guys to not just get so excited when you see something new to just go out and buy it, but instead give yourself some time to let the hype of it die off. Okay, here's the story. So I want a day bed for my office. You're in my office. If you don't know, you should go check out my video where I decluttered, organized, and redecorated my closet. It's linked right here. It was literally my last video, so it should be easy for you to find. I really would like a day bed for my office because sitting in a chair sometimes gets tedious, and then I'll roll my desk up and then I'll stand for a while, and then I just want to lay down. Like, yeah, I lay down with my computer. It's not the best thing for my posture, but sometimes you just want to lay down and like have a more chill mode of work. And I used to do that a lot because I lived in a 1-story small 1-bedroom apartment. I would move from my desk and then go lay on my bed, but now my bed is all the way upstairs. Am I lazy or what? I also think it would be cuter to have sitting back there than no furniture at all. I also think it would help deaden the sound in here. I also think it could be used when people come over for them to sleep on. There are many reasons why I want this day bed. So I go onto the internet looking for a secondhand day bed. I go on all the regular sites, you know, and one comes up. The perfect day bed, you guys. The dream day bed for $150, which is not a lot, and you're gonna know why. This was very early into the move, and I didn't want to bring extra furniture in here and not know where I was gonna put it or how I was gonna style it or if it was gonna fit. I didn't want furniture just sitting around, so I was a little bit hesitant to buy it for that reason, which was so stupid of me because it was perfect. And even after this, so the day bag was $150. It was from World Market. It was made of rattan, and the person had bought it and just decided it didn't really go well in their space. It didn't fit well into their space. So they were selling a $550 bed for $150. And I missed it. I missed the opportunity to get it, and I'm so upset about it. So, but what I talked myself out of buying is buying it new, because it is from World Market. It is made of rattan, which is a more sustainable material to be buying things made out of. But because I've already seen it secondhand, it makes me very hesitant to jump at the bit and buy it new. So I've talked myself out of buying it in hopes that I can find it secondhand, and not just letting myself be like, oh, but I missed this deal and I'm never gonna see it again and I want it right now. That's why I talked myself out of buying it, because I am fairly confident that I will find it secondhand, either on one of those pages that I usually shop on, or on Buns, which again is the sponsor of this video. So I did want to talk about them for a little bit because it's just such a cool concept. You know, as an eco-minimalist, that coin that I termed, I keep wanting to say that term that I coined, you want to purchase as little as you can new. But when you buy something secondhand, or when you trade for something secondhand, you're not creating a demand for all of that resource use. You're reusing something that's already in the system, and it's just the epitome of living a zero-waste, eco-friendly, minimalist lifestyle to trade for things rather than to just go out and buy them. So for instance, that mirror up there, I did trade for someone on Buns for some leftover terracotta pots that I no longer needed. I had them listed on my Buns. Someone said, hey, I really need these pots. I've been looking for some pots. Do you like anything on my profile to trade? And I looked through their profile. They had that beautiful mirror up there listed, and I said, that mirror, I want that mirror. So then we just traded for it. It was super simple, really easy, and it takes you out of that consumerist mindset of, I want something, I'm gonna go buy it. Instead, you think, let me see if someone already has something that I want that I could trade for, and not have to spend money, A, to get it, B, create a demand for new resources to use. So Buns is the free app, completely free to download and free to get the stuff, because you're just trading stuff. It's completely free. You have nothing to lose. And they are in their infancy, like I keep telling you guys, they are just starting. But I really, really hope that they take off and they become more mainstream. They already are in a lot of parts of Canada. So if you live in Canada, you probably already know who Buns is. But if you haven't already downloaded the app, make sure you do so. Like I said, it's completely free and you have nothing to lose. And let me know if anybody else is already trading in your area, or if you might be the first one to get it started. Something I'm looking for on Buns, but only if it's vintage, are these wicker bags. You guys, I talked myself out of buying one of these circle round wicker bags. They are so bringing things from like mid-century back to the current times. I see that it's like a real trend, bringing styles back from the past and making them popular now. And if you have not seen someone or an ad or something on Instagram carrying a wicker bag, who are you following? Because it's not anybody that I follow, that's for damn sure. Everyone has a wicker bag. It's in every thrifting style video. It's everywhere. They're everywhere. And they're very cute, I must admit. But why would I go and buy one from someone that's new, from a company that's recreating vintage looking items and creating them new, instead of just seeking out a used and or vintage item? It's always been a really big pet peeve of mine when someone takes something that is in style because it's vintage, or because it's like, you know, old, and then they recreate it new. Like, it's my biggest, nothing frustrates me more than seeing people do that, and then seeing people purchase the new item instead of the vintage item. It's just like, it's such a mind fuck. It makes me so upset. So yeah, I've talked myself out of buying a rattan, wicker, whatever you call it, bamboo, fiber, whatever it is, bag for now, until I find the perfect vintage one, because then I won't have to feel bad about it. All right, two more things. One, wooden hangers. Why do I want wooden hangers? Because I think they're more aesthetically pleasing. Do I need wooden hangers? No. Should I buy them? No. But what's the reason I normally didn't buy them before, regardless of creating a demand or anything like that? What's the reason I didn't buy them? I thought they were expensive. I thought to have all wooden hangers in my closet would be expensive. But because I'm more of a minimalist, I would only need maybe 20 of the hangers, and that would only cost me like maybe 20 bucks. And when I realized that, I was like, oh, well, then I'm just gonna buy the wooden hangers. Why wouldn't I? No, Shelby, that's not how you think about it. Why would you would. Why would I buy hangers when I already have perfectly usable hangers in my closet other than aesthetics? No reason, absolutely no reason. And yes, you can always donate your old hangers to like a thrift store or something, and they might get resold, or they might get reused, or they might go to landfill. So there's another reason why. Sometimes buying secondhand can justify just about anything, but sometimes you realize you're just thinking aesthetically, and it's something you already have something else for. Like, I already have hangers, so I don't need them. It's not something that I'm out looking for, like that mirror, when I don't have another mirror to use, if that makes sense. Last thing, funny story. So you guys know I moved recently. At our old apartment, our little garage apartment, we had these motion sensor solar lights, and they're really cool. My mom bought them for us because she was paranoid that we would be walking through the dark in someone's backyard, because our garage apartment was in the backyard of our tenant's house, or the entrance to it was. So she bought these lights that were solar powered, and when you would walk past them, they would turn on. They were actually super clutch. But when we moved out, we completely forgot them. And so we thought, well, we'll just buy some new ones. It's not a big deal. We'll just buy new ones for the house. And then I started thinking, no, like, we already own solar motion lights. Those are ours. We bought them. We own them. Yeah, it's been like a couple weeks since we moved out, but we had a good relationship with our landlords. And I messaged them and I said, hey, we'd really like to get our solar motion lights back, because we really like them, and I'd really like to have them for our current backyard. And they didn't seem super happy about it, because like, our landlord, normally he would do anything for us, anything we asked, he would just do it. He's such a handyman. He was retired, and he would just like run around the property all day and do stuff. Like, that's what he did. But when we got there, they were still hanging, and I was like, like, he knows we're coming here to get them. We were going to get mail and stuff too, but he knew we were coming to get them, and he left them hanging. He brought us a ladder and a drill and was like, have at it. I think they were kind of mad that we took our motion sensor light back. They didn't have lights there before, so I doubt he's gonna buy any new lights. And it seemed a little silly for me to just be like, oh, forget it, whatever, we don't need those lights, we'll just buy more, when I could just like go get mine. So we went and picked up our motion solar lights like 2 weeks after we moved out of our old apartment. But I have no shame for it, because I love those lights. They're really handy. That's why I talked myself out of buying them, by being like, but like, I could just go through a little bit of trouble. Like, yeah, it's kind of petty maybe, and like weird to be like, hey, I want my lights back. But I did it because I didn't want to buy something new, so. Okay, so this video is getting pretty long. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but this video is also meant to be the announcement of my no spend challenge for the month of June that I'm really, really hoping you will join me on. And the reason I'm doing this is because we moved into this house. I feel like I'm talking about the house a lot. I don't ever want to get annoying to you guys, but it's like the biggest thing that's ever happened in my life, and obviously the biggest thing happening in my life right now. So we bought this house. We had to, well, we didn't have to furnish the house. We kind of furnished the house, but I've been buying a ton of stuff for the house, and I've been doing really well like in my business and not feeling bad about buying things for the house. Mostly secondhand, or at outlet stores, or at local nurseries mostly. But I've just been spending way too much money. More money than I've been comfortable spending in years, actually maybe ever. And I've noticed that I'm getting back into the consumerist mindset, where I just let myself be like, but you've worked so hard recently, like let yourself go crazy a little bit. And I did. Even though I'm not buying things new or unethical or anything like that, regardless, I'm spending so much more money than I feel comfortable spending. And I let myself get back into that consumerist mindset of just buying things because I want them and not being super conscious about them. So I figured the best way to combat that is to do a no spend for the month of June. So I would love if you join me. I'm going to be sharing some tips and tricks and all that sort of stuff throughout the month on my channel, but also on my Instagram. So please go follow me over there and share with me things that you've talked yourself out of buying, things that you've been able to finesse instead of buying something. I think this month will teach all of us a lot. So again, also make sure you have the Buns app, because if there is something you need during the month of June and you're doing a no spend challenge, you can trade with someone and then you're not buying anything, right? There's no monetary exchange there whatsoever. So it's an awesome way to get involved with your community, to meet your neighbors, and to get some things when you need them without participating in the consumerist market. So I'll talk more about that throughout the month, you guys, but thank you so much for being here. And remember, until next time, you cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that you can do. Bye, guys.